Facebook world. My 7th grade history teacher used to say, boys and girls, cats and kitties all over the world. He was a good man, the late, great Joe Johnson, 7th grade history and assistant football coach at Jacksonville High School. That's the state champion Jacksonville High School Golden Eagles, in case anyone's keeping score at home. We're going to get this thing started momentarily. I'm Josh. Amanda just left. Nick is in the back. Tyler is at home, hopefully going to sleep. He works the night shift and all. So we've got a lot to get to. 3 storm threats in the next 7-8 days. We've already had a hail of a day across the state. Literally, we've had hail. Quite a bit of it. The good news, the hail has not been catastrophically large. So we have mainly seen small hail in a few spots. But some of you have seen a little bit larger hail. So we'll get the logos loaded up here, take the lower thirds off the screen, and get rocking and rolling. I'm Josh Johnson. We are here to talk about these issues of ours. 3 separate storm threats over the next week, each of them kind of bringing their own flavor to things. First thing we'll do here is start you off with the storm threat we're dealing with right now. Here is radar, and it's winding down, but a few storms still capable of producing some small hail in the next hour and a half. You see one of them out here on the kind of northwest side of Prattville. This will be out near Autauga Academy. Not out of the question you're getting some pea-sized hail falling out of that one. All of this, by the way, happening today because of very cold air aloft. If you look on the screen here, you see this big swirling, spinning upper area of low pressure pinwheeling away. Now, the air underneath that thing is exceptionally cold, and as a result, we have had some issues with hail today. That makes sense, right? The air up at the cloud level is really, really cold. That usually is what you end up getting, is some form of problems with large hail. And that is precisely where we found ourselves in this thing today. We have had some hailstones in the most intense storm core. So we'll walk you through this whole thing. So what happens next? Well, Thursday's a beautiful day. It's bright, it's sunny, it's warm. You head for the mid-70s. Probably some fog early in the day, but as the day wears on, the weather gets better. The sun comes out, drier air filters in, and we're in the mid-70s. Then we get to Friday morning. So I've paused this. This is at 9 a.m. Friday. You will notice most of Alabama covered with rain and thunderstorms. But the situation is complicated for Friday. What do I mean by that? As the storms are arriving, literally at the time they're arriving, warm, muggy, tornado-supportive air is going to stream in from the Gulf of Mexico. And wherever there's an overlap, wherever we have this tornado-supportive environment overlap with existing thunderstorms, that's where we're going to have problems with tornadoes, damaging wind, large hail. All of us are going to have rain and thunder and lightning, but not all of us are going to have problems with tornadoes, wind, and hail. So if you can picture it, there's the storms sliding through, and then as they're moving through, this tornado-supportive air kind of drags in from the Gulf of Mexico. So look at the screen you see here. These are the storms, and you'll notice by 9 a.m. they cover most of the state. The real tornado-supportive air, as of, again, 9 a.m., would be down here at this point, if the model is 100% correct, would be down here in Mobile and Baldwin counties. Everywhere else, no real tornado threat as of 9 a.m. So let's go forward in time here. So this is 2 hours later. This is now 11 a.m., and the tornado-supportive air has made it up into Clark, Conecuh, Mobile, Baldwin, Escambia, perhaps parts of Covington County. So what we'll do, where are the storms then? Well, there are still storms ongoing in that part of the state. The rest of these could produce spotty hail, gusty wind, but I don't think they're a tornado threat until that warm surface, muggy air makes it in from the Gulf. Okay, so let's go forward in time 2 more hours. We're now at 1 in the afternoon. So there are storms that run from Clark County over to Pike and Barber. Okay, where's the tornado environment at that point? Well, there is some overlap here in Wilcox and in Monroe and Clark and Mobile and Baldwin and Escambia and Conecuh and Covington and Geneva and Coffee and Dale. So that would be the concerning part of this Friday setup, is where and when do you get this overlap effect with these thunderstorms. Where and when do you see thunderstorms existing in an area with really warm, really muggy air near the ground? So, story here for Friday. Everyone will have rain. Most of you are going to have heavy rain and hear thunder and see lightning. In the southern sections of the state, that is where we are most likely to see that tornado-supportive atmosphere overlap with storms that are ongoing at that time. So that's why the Storm Prediction Center map looks like this. So this is the risk level for Friday, and you'll notice it's bullseyed right over that area I just described. That's southern tier of counties, mainly south of Montgomery. That would be where we would have the best risk of scattered reports of damaging wind, large hail, and a tornado or two Friday. And this would mainly be morning through early afternoon on Friday. So it's not one size fits all, though I think the risk level gets lower the farther north you go. Now, that said, things could happen. What I've shown you is the model scenario. If the storms slow down and the tornado supportive air makes it farther north, we'll have to jack that risk up and move it farther north. And this could end up being a fairly substantial episode of severe weather. On the flip side of that, if the storms run ahead of schedule and the tornado-supportive environment over the Gulf doesn't have time to make that northward push, there won't be much of a tornado threat at all. Most of us will just have heavy rain, thunder, lightning, a little wind, and probably some hail in a few spots. That would be about the extent of it. So that's the trick for Friday. That's the question. There's always something we've got to try to figure out, and that's the figure out thing for Friday. Heavy rain, thunder, lightning, gusty wind for everyone. Tornado threat conditional and primarily south of Montgomery. I know that's complicated. There's no simpler way if I could find a simpler way to explain it, I would. But again, it's sort of, you've got the tornado supportive environment is over the Gulf of Mexico. It's moving north as the storms are coming through. So exactly when and where do they overlap? That's the million-dollar question. That'll determine how this breaks. Now, we will have better data towards answering that question tomorrow, but sometimes these events, they play out in real time. So we can bang the drum and tell you pay attention, and then we just have to sort of watch radar unfold as the day unfolds. So you need to be aware, just a first alert heads up here, rain and storms, a good bet of those on Friday. Amanda asked about flooding. I think you're done. I think you're good, Amanda. We'll probably get some more rain, but these storms now are on the back end of the upper low, so as a result, the flood setup is not really what it was. So there's that. So we'll animate this. You may very well see more rain out of this, but these storms are starting to make a southward push, so it will rain for 30 to 45 minutes and then probably be done. Okay, so then we get to next week. So let's just I'll walk you through this, again, kind of moment by moment. Pardon me. So, the storms roll through the state Friday. Here you see that. That's the line of storms right there. Can everyone see that? You see where we are? That's Alabama right down there. I'll make a little decision here. I will zoom into the region, and I think it may be easier for you to make sense of all of it. That's probably better, right? I hope so. Okay, so Parker asked about a mission trip from the Florida Panhandle to Meridian, Mississippi, 5 in the morning Friday. You will be driving through a lot of rain, some thunder, lightning. Please be careful. Okay, so Friday storms, boom, those go through. Timing on that, I'd say 6A to 2P would be a decent estimate. We'll be able to dial that in a little more precisely as time passes. Saturday looks great, sunshine and 70s. Now we're into Sunday. There's still nothing going on in Alabama. The weather is beautiful, it's comfortable. Then Monday gets here, same. I think the wind begins to increase a little Monday. But it's still no severe weather setup. It's still a decent look to the atmosphere over the state. Here's Tuesday. We're still doing all right. I think by Tuesday late, you start to see a little rain chance. A couple of scattered showers by Tuesday afternoon. So in our 7-day forecast at WSFA.com and on the weather app, you can see this. Small rain chance Tuesday afternoon. That doesn't look like a severe weather setup for Tuesday. Then Tuesday night and into Wednesday, here comes this line. Now, the latest data, a little farther north with the surface low, so you don't get quite as big of a response moving that warm, muggy air in off the Gulf next Wednesday. The forecast sounding, this is what the atmosphere is going to look like from bottom to top. Not overwhelming. You'll notice there's plenty of directional wind shear. The speed shear is not so overwhelming. Instability is not huge, but the low-level instability is actually decent in that setup. So there's another window here next Wednesday where you could deal with another batch of showers and storms. Storm Prediction Center has outlooked a big chunk of our state, not all of it, but they've outlooked part of the state in a day 7 risk to account for that. And I will just be perfectly honest with you, at this point, no one really knows. It is just way too early to try to get into any sort of specifics about that. It's happening next week, next Wednesday. Now, we're within range Friday. I've told you everything we know and don't know there. But next Wednesday, just kind of a first alert heads up, there's another window here where you could see a storm or two. There's the Storm Prediction Center's outlook on that. I'll make that bigger for you. No, they use some mapping. The way they do their mapping, I can blow it up to that size. Maybe that's a little simpler to see, I hope. So they've outlooked kind of mostly the lower Mississippi Valley, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, West Alabama. Again, this is for next Wednesday. There is some chance this would get drawn farther east in subsequent updates. And they mentioned that in their discussion. It may get translated east of where it is right now when they redraw this late tonight into early tomorrow morning. So hang out with Tyler and watch him for updates there. All right, it's 5:46. If you're just joining us, we've kind of done a breakdown of the severe weather setups for Alabama. We've still got a little bit of a tiny risk, a very low risk of some spotty problems with hail through about 7 or 8 o'clock this evening. That will fade away quickly, though. We're dry and comfortable and nice on Thursday. It storms again on Friday. The greatest severe weather risk Friday is probably over the southern third of the state, from Montgomery southward, but we can't rule out severe weather elsewhere in the state. The timing there, morning through early afternoon. Saturday and Sunday and Monday look phenomenal. Sunshine, 70s, might even hit 80. Mid-70s Monday, might hit 80 Tuesday. Scattered showers Tuesday afternoon. And then another storm setup rolls in here by next Wednesday. So that's how it plays out. As always, as we get closer to these setups, we get better data. The data will change, so we will be able to dial in on this. But you need to be weather aware on Friday, especially in the morning. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're good, but then probably be weather aware again next Wednesday to account for those possibilities. So there you have it. Any questions? As always, I'll try my best to answer them as we move along here. Let's see if we can dive into any of these. Great, just what we need for spring break, storms. Abigail, I don't disagree. It's kind of lame, isn't it? Hello, Russell. Glad to have you. Hello, Marjorie. Hey, Kevin and Thelma and Joyce and Sonny and Margaret and Sincere and Amanda and Lee and Margaret and Larry and Clyde, Parker and Julie and Edith and Shirley and Jessica. Jessica asked, is the SBC guidance for Tuesday, Wednesday pretty bad so far? That's what I just showed you. That's that yellow map. Here it is. This is their guidance. If you're curious, we'll roll down and look at the discussion together, and I'll go over some of the highlights of it with you. This is the part that kind of impacts us right here. So it says severe weather potential, though diminishing somewhat overnight, will likely evolve once again slightly farther east Tuesday into day 7 as the upper system slows somewhat but continues advancing eastward. Blah, 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 blah. Another all-hazard severe weather episode is expected, including potential for supercells and tornadoes from East Texas eastward across the lower Mississippi Valley. So that would be kind of the mainly west of us, but right on the edge. Model differences increase somewhat day 8, though a general eastward advance of both the upper system and the overall favorable kinematic and thermodynamic environment is expected. A couple of explainers there. Kinematic means the wind fields. So the wind speeds, the directions of the wind through the atmosphere. Thermodynamics means the tendency of air essentially to rise once it's forced upward. The atmosphere would prefer it to be cold air near the ground, warm air up above, but when those two flip, it's called unstable. When the warm air is near the ground and the cold air is up above it, the atmosphere wants to flip those around. And so that means that when air starts to rise, it will tend to continue rising. All right, back to the geek speak. I mean that in the nicest way possible. This suggests yet another day of severe weather potential eastward across the central Gulf states. Translation, us. However, due to the model differences, potential inclusion will be delayed until a later outlook. So essentially what that means is they're not confident enough to draw that bullseye over us on day 8 just yet. But for a day 7 outlook to be talking about a severe weather episode, potential supercells and tornadoes, that suggests that they're fairly concerned about it. They just don't know exactly, is it Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, or is it Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee? So we don't know quite yet. All right, more questions. Hope we answered that one. But I don't think you can blow off or disregard the severe weather threat for next week. I hope I have not given any indication of that. I just think it's one that we don't have a lot of the details in yet because it's so far out. And we're talking about something 7 days from now. Michael says, you said south of Montgomery for Friday, but the map seems to show south of Pike County. Is this difference because it could change? No, here's the map, and that is not south of Pike County. Pike County would be right here. And if we're talking about a different map, this is the map for Friday. Severe weather risk for basically all of the state. It is highest along and south of the line from Miller's Ferry to Marbury to Dadeville to Lafayette and points south from there. That would include Montgomery, Pike. That would include almost all of the WSFA service area, with the exception being the far northwest. So hopefully that clears that up. Russell, how do you see it playing out Tuesday? I don't know yet. It depends on how that trough ejects out. That's the million-dollar question to me. You've got warm air in place-ish. You've got a surface low. You've got a deep upper trough. How does it swing out of there? Does it hang back? What tilt does it take? Where does the surface low track? Those are all up in the air. So the way I would phrase it for next week, the players are on the field. We just don't know what formation they're lined up in. So am I on offense? Are we on defense? Are we going to run the ball? Are we going to throw the ball? We don't know yet. All we can see right now is there are players on the field. It's kind of like we're in the Goodyear blimp looking down at the game, and we can see players on the field. Now, as we get closer to the game, our seats improve. We get down closer and closer and closer, and by the time we get to Monday, Tuesday next week, we'll have a clear picture of everything. Again, to use the football analogy, we'll be on the 50-yard line 20 rows up. We'll be able to see it all. So Michael says, I was seeing the map of the Gulf Air. Michael, the model I was showing, that's a model. So it's just a model, and Pike would be kind of on the fringe, close enough to where you need to pay attention. So, and remember, this is one run of one model. This will probably change. So do not look at this map and think, oh, well, Pike's fine. This is the map really to focus on, is this one right here, because exactly where these things end up could change a little bit. So sorry for the confusion. I know there's a lot that goes into that, but this is the human-produced forecast. It will outperform the models most times. So, all right, everybody, I appreciate your time and energy. I've got to get ready for WSFA 12 News at 6. It's coming on in about 7 minutes. Before we go, Braxton, when will the thunderstorms get to Panama City Beach on Friday? Morning through midday, so 8 to 2, somewhere in there. I know that's a broad range, but it's pretty wet in PCB on Friday, especially late morning into the afternoon. Time range for Friday rain, morning through early afternoon, say 8A to 2P. That could change, though, so you've got to check back here. It's important to get updates. Old forecasts are usually bad forecasts. So there you go. All right, I'm going to shut this thing down and get ready for WSFA 12 News at 6. As always, I appreciate your time, your friendship, your camaraderie. Hope this has been useful for you. We'll do another one of these, I'm sure, as the week progresses. You can get updates all the time on the weather app. And please, I would encourage you, use the weather app. Nick just posted a video with updated maps and all that on the app. We love Facebook, but Facebook doesn't love us. Facebook will take our important storm updates and put them where you can't see them or delay you seeing them for hours or days. Facebook, quite frankly, is not a very good source of weather information. We do these because you're here. But the weather app will serve you much better. Our television newscast will serve you much better than Facebook will. If you are relying on Facebook for weather info, we can't control when you see that. So please, I would encourage you, if you don't have the app, go ahead, download it, get ready for that. All right, take care.